93, 93, 93. This is Asha Renew from AshaRenew.com. You already know. I think it's about 10 p.m. West Coast time. So about 1 a.m. East Coast. Shout out to the West. Shout out to the Midwest. Shout out to the Mountain Time. Shout out to the East Coast. Right. Shout out to all the Muslims that's fasting during the month of Ramadan. You know. Of course, shout out to 93. Shout out to whatever walk of life that you decide to walk. What's up, Professor? What's up, Baphomet, France? Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. That's creative. That's creative. That's creative. Hopefully, everybody had a good day. Hopefully, you ain't run your mouth too much unnecessarily. Hopefully, you ain't running your mouth unnecessarily. The title of this video is called Stop Talking Like That. That threw my mood off. I'm saying. Oh shit, that changed my whole mood. I'm not gonna lie. That changed my whole mood. As you see, that's just how deep I am. That changed my whole mood. I appreciate that. That was that's good energy right there. Now, the reason I titled this, Stop Talking to People for No Reason, because I realize, how do I put this? It's like I really don't want to put this in war terms, utilizing war tactics, but maybe we should go about it in that fashion. What I mean by that is, it's just too easy for people to pull you into their vortex. It's too easy to, hey, good morning. Hey, how are you doing? Yada, yada, yada. And then they just swarm you with their madness. They swarm you with their bullshit. It's just too easy to get caught up into people's, madness. To the point where it's better just to not even engage with just random people. People that you don't know and people that you don't care to know. We be doing that shit just to be nice. We try to be civilized. It's like, again, if you're really about this shit, you can't be afraid to be an asshole. You cannot be afraid to be the narcissist that you know you are. It's just a time and a place for these energies to manifest. So the time is, do not give your energy away for free because people are not going to appreciate it, as we know, right? So when we're engaging back and forth with people and you feel like you dropping gems, you feel like you're enlightening people, and this doesn't apply to the youth. So let me make that clear. So this does not apply to the youth. So so if you are giving game to the youth, no problem, right? So I'm really talking about adults who basically refuse to grow up, right? Adults who refuse to grow up. Why? Because they're still ultra emotional. It's some adults that are more emotional than children, right? So people are just so caught up in their self, meaning people are. It's just no way to be nice about this. I be trying to be civilized. I be trying to be nice, but human nature is fucking disgusting. Human nature is like when we really see what we really are is fucking disgusting. And I'm saying what's within all of us, what we all have the potential to manifest, but we choose not to. When we choose to elevate ourselves beyond. What's up, Dink? Was it fasting been easier than before? I've been withdrawn from others, so I may not be feeling their influence nor depletion. As you should. As you should. This is just not the time for it. Remember, we are in a post-COVID society, meaning we still have a lot of people sick. Just because you may not be getting sick with COVID, just because we have built up a certain immunity, there are still people walking around here sick and affecting people. Just because we're not talking about it on the news anymore, people are still walking around with these fucking viruses. Now they're talking about shit like bird flu. People are walking around sick. 93 JD, what's up with it? Idle chatter, make sure fangs grow dull. You know, for some reason, people just love to talk though. And what I mean by that is, if we just look at what goes on the internet, right? And we see how people, especially in the sectors with people who look like me, right? We're constantly going back and forth with each other, right? It's constantly beef, disagreements, people acting fucking crazy for the world to see, right? We put our whole reality on display for the world to see, and we wonder why the world looks at us as fucking animals. All you gotta do is go on the internet, and all you see is animalistic behavior. How do we know? You have whole Twitter channels. I've seen it. You have whole Twitter channels just dedicated to fights, like on some world star hip hop shit, right? There are whole channels just dedicated to nothing but drama. And these channels or these profiles be having hundreds of thousands of followers. So that means somebody or a lot of people are just getting off to this type of content. They find some type of entertainment and just people beating each other ass, just acting like fucking monkeys and apes. How whatever that just gets certain people going, right? They just want to see somebody get knocked out. They just want to see some madness. Why? Because it's a reflection of misery. They're fucking miserable. Who the fuck has time to fight? I know you don't have time to fight. It's too much money to be made, right? Motherfuckers got kids and shit. Children, I don't want to say kids. People got children. Motherfuckers got bills, right? Where is the time? The thing is, it's completely emotional. See, this is essentially what I'm getting at. We understand that time is an illusion, right? Time is an illusion. So time is based on how you feel. So when people get in their feelings and they have these emotional outbursts, what they're truly doing is manipulating not just their own reality, but the reality of others. See, it's witchery, it's spells. This is magic on a more darker level that a lot of people don't really want to talk about. This is really the whole point of me making this video. That spells are being casted on you and you don't even realize they're being casted on you. People are deceiving and manipulating you and you don't even realize that they're doing it because it's under the guise of them wanting you to feel sorry for them, right? I can't help but physically cringe at certain drama. Well, you shouldn't even be in anywhere where drama is. You shouldn't even be on the location, right? Anywhere where there's potential drama, you shouldn't be found there in the first place. Now, if something just breaks out right in front of your face, fuck it. But people know when to act out and when not to act out because they are ruled by fear. People are ruled by fear, so they know when to act out and they know when to stay silent. That's why we have no problem knocking each other out and treating each other like trash, talking all this shit. But we're not doing this to police officers. We're not doing this to politicians because we know who to talk to crazy and who not to talk to crazy. Why? It's based off of fear. The motivation is not love, it's fear, right? So if people are ruled by fear, they have no choice but to utilize negative magic. What do I mean? We all know somebody who just talks, just to talk, and their words mean nothing. They're just talking because they need to release energy. They need to release tension. Remember, it ain't that many ways to release tension. How do people release tension? They talk, they fuck, they work out, they sweat. This is what people do, right? So this is what I mean. A lot of people are just running their mouth because they are releasing their own tension because again, they have no inner peace. When you have inner peace, you don't really talk that much because you don't feel the need to release energy. It ain't you don't have built up, pent up energy in you to release. You have learned to you're not just dealing with the energy, it's just not there. You don't really feel the need to say much to anybody. Again, outside of the youth, outside of the people that need it. But again, we're talking about adults, people who ain't trying to hear this shit any goddamn way. You will be trying to help them, and they're just thinking about manipulating you. They're still thinking about how can I deceive this person? How can I get $1 out of this person? That's all they're thinking about. You can be thinking, this is what I mean. This is what they mean by no good deed goes unpunished. See, we be thinking we're helping. We be thinking, okay, maybe they need to hear this, maybe they need to hear that, but they ain't trying to hear nothing. They're too caught up in their own vices. They're thinking about their next cigarette, their next bottle, their next fuck. They're just, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how they have to run off of vice. That's why I say it's negative. So, majority of the people have to run off of vice. So, this is what I mean. Like, you can't even have a straight conversation with the average person. You would think this person thinks logically, thinks in a straight line, but sooner or later they will show you that they cannot. You can be talking sense all you want. You can be talking money all you want. Eventually they're gonna start talking about their goddamn problems, their ills, their mishaps, things that they have caused on their own because they have no inner peace. So it's only a matter of time before they expose you to who they really are and you realize that you have just been wasting your time. Some of us have friends like this. Some of us have family. I'm not going to say some of us, all of us. If you truly want to understand the world, you don't have to look no further than your own family. We all know this. We all have these same, we all got the same fucking family, honestly. If we all have the same family. Everybody has the same type of family. It don't matter what financial position you're in. Again, this is how we know that, okay, everybody wants money, but when you realize that this does not change people, it just brings out what's already within them. So if they already are at war within themselves, all money is going to do is help them express that warlike mentality. Hence why you have time to fuck somebody up or even want to harm anybody or want to harm people with your words. So it don't even have to be physical. It can be verbal. It can even be spiritual. Why do you think we go through so many spiritual attacks? And this is what I mean. That's why you can't even trust spiritual people either. So this is what I'm saying. People hide behind this bullshit. Do not be fooled. Oh, I'm spiritual. So fucking what? That just means you're gonna put a fucking spell on me if you feel like I do you wrong or you feel any type of way. That's just all that means. So they're not gonna raise a fist towards you. All they're gonna do is fucking try some witchery. This is just how the fuck these motherfuckers think. This is just what they do. Like when you look at the type of beefs that people have, the shit be so goddamn petty and it be so close knit. They're not beefing with strangers. They beefing with the people they know. Majority of the enemies that people have, they know them personally. And this is what I mean. There's no reason for you to talk to people for no reason, because if they don't know you, you can't be an enemy. They can't have a reason to even give you any type of energy, because they don't even know who you are, and you don't give them an opportunity to even know who you are. Because again, all these people that pretend to be your friend is really your enemy in disguise anyway. All it takes is for you to say something to make them feel slighted, and now they're working behind your back. They still want to be around you because they want to plot and they want to, plan. So this is what I mean, because their mind does not allow them to function normally. So you have three friends, you really got three enemies. And this shit occupies your time. This takes up so much of our time. We like, damn, I can't trust nobody. Every time I trust somebody, then they end up being emotional. Meaning, you can be about, okay, let's get this money. Let's start this business. Let's do this. Let's do that. They all for it until their feelings get hurt, right? Until they get their feelings hurt. Now you got a whole nother problem, right? I learned that the hard way. They be like, I'm spiritual, but I'm gonna cast a spell on a nigga. This is what I mean. All they're doing is using spirituality as a veil to cover up their own bullshit. Meaning they're abusing it. And these are the people that end up destroying themselves. Because that's not how you're supposed to use magic at all. You should not be casting spells towards your so called friends and people close to you. These should be the last people you want to harm, but to them, it's the first people. Because again, people, I don't even want to go too far into this negative energy, right? Because this is also titled the chessboard of life, right? So I don't even want to dwell on this for too long. Just to give it a couple more minutes. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about it. I think I've made my point here about this particular topic. Meaning, so the fuck what that people are spiritual. They just use that as another avenue to do what they already would have been doing if they were not spiritual. Spirituality has not changed a goddamn thing for them. It just gave them spiritual warfare. That's it. So what I'm saying is like it's these people are even more disgusting than people that's not spiritual. Imagine that. Imagine spirituality was designed to elevate you, and then people utilize it to push themselves deeper into the hellish ways, and not in a good way. I ain't talking about going into the clip off, going into the Citra Aqua, you know what I mean, meeting the devil in person. They ain't doing all that. They're still bitch made. They're still fucking pussies, all right? They're not doing anything that requires them to look something directly in his eyes. They're afraid to face their demons. They can't look eye to eye with no devil shit at all. All you gotta do, again, most spiritual people still don't fuck with the devil. I keep saying this, right? That's all we gotta realize. Man, you spiritual, but you still Christian, right? You still have a Christian mind. You ain't summoning no devil, right? So this is what I'm saying. It's all an illusion, because they still have the same fears, and they're still going to project those same fears onto you. Which just, that's why they say misery loves company. They now, let me see how do it's like my mind is going all over the place, because it's like I'm having flashbacks. Shit, I'm having flashbacks, right? So this is coming from experience. That's why I became who I am. You think I wanted to work with this devil shit, to be the darkest person on the goddamn planet, to be the devil in the flesh? Like, this was my plan, or did the world show me that you either be that or you be a victim? You gonna be over here with everybody else praising God, or you gonna be over here where everybody ain't trying to fuck with you? Let me give you an example of what I mean. Let me give you a real life example, right? When I first moved to Los Angeles, right? So this was like 2009. When I first moved to Los Angeles, right? I somehow found myself being pressed by gang members. I found myself being pressed by police officers. It's like they was looking at me like I was prey. I'm like, damn, I can't even walk around the corner without a motherfucker asking me, oh, where you from? I can't even pay my goddamn phone bill without a motherfucker standing in front of Metro PCSs, because that's what I was fucking with at the time. So it's like one right around the corner. I'm just trying to go in there to pay my bill. Niggas is all posted up at the, because if you remember Los Angeles 2009, if you were there, a lot of gang members would post up in front of the Metro PCSs. I didn't know that until I got there, right? So I'm like, damn, I gotta go through all these niggas just to pay my goddamn phone bill, right? So you gotta go through all this. Police is stopping me for no damn reason. What's up, Montu 93? He said, did you miss a lot? We 20 minutes in. Hold on. Hold on. I think we should be good now. Give me a second. Let me change this. Give me a second here. Hold on. Hold on. Let me turn that off. Hold on. I got the King Von in the background. So what I was saying, let me turn it down a little bit. Let me turn it down a little bit. So what I was saying was, when I first moved to LA, I kept getting pressed by gang members. I kept getting stopped by police officers. Motherfuckers is looking at me like I was prey, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? But I was prey. I was weak. I can admit that. I didn't know any better. You know what I mean? That was my first time really being introduced to the streets. I was introduced to the streets in LA. Back home, I wasn't in the streets like that. I was in school, trying to be a goody two shoes. I wasn't really dealing with anything negative too much, other than within my own self, right? When I was younger, I had a death wish. I had to learn to appreciate life. I didn't come into this world having appreciation for life. I had a death wish. I was ready to die. I didn't give a fuck about this shit. Just on Scorpio time, right? I had to learn to appreciate life, and that took me some time. So by the time I got to LA, it's like, okay, now you like, oh, you really got a death wish? Well, here you go. Let's see what you're gonna do with it, right? So now, again, so I didn't have to deal with all that. Like you go outside, you getting pressed again. That wasn't going on where I was from. So when I come to gangland, when I get on, like it's a whole nother atmosphere, and I have to adapt. It's like you either gonna stay in the house or you gonna adapt to these streets, because these motherfuckers ain't going nowhere. So what you gonna do, right? So what I realized is it's not that I have to learn how to, just be physically tough and do all this and do all that. This was a mental thing, right? I had to get on my spirituality, meaning my spirituality became darker and darker and darker and darker because I realized the atmosphere I was in would not allow me to manifest my angelic nature. So, beauty, prima beauty, when I came to LA, again, the root chakra of the planet, it did not allow me to manifest my angelic nature. You could say naturally I am an angel. Without the influence, you could say I am angelic, right? That's why I call myself Lucifer, right? I am naturally angelic, but I had to be cast down into hell in order to learn who I really was and what I can really handle, right? So when I was dropped off into these streets of LA with all these gangs and all this corruption in these streets, it's like, oh shit. Now, with that, again, I could still kind of avoid that because, I was doing my little 9 to 5, working my little job. So it was like I really didn't have to just be in the streets like that until I got kicked out of the house that I was living in. I got kicked out of the house I was living in because I started fucking with the tarot, right? Meaning I brought a tarot deck into the home and it was like, yo, you want some devil time. We cannot fuck with you. You need to leave right now. There is no, okay, you leave tomorrow, find somewhere else to be. No, leave right now. So I had to leave immediately. Oh, that's a tarot deck? Within 5 minutes, I'm out the door. No packing your clothes, leave whatever you have. You need to leave this house. So now I have nowhere to go. Now I'm really in the streets. Now I have no choice but to adapt, right? Because my safe net or my safe heaven, I no longer had access to it. So now, me like being in between like angel and demon, because I was still able to be angelic because I was around, religious people, so I wasn't just straight demon, right? But when I was cast out of heaven, right? When I was cast out of heaven now, it's like, are you really a demon? Or are you more? Everybody feel like they're a demon, right? So I'm like, am I a demon or am I more than that? Meaning, am I going to die in these streets? I didn't have a plan. Again, I wasn't from this place. I wasn't from LA. I didn't have no connections. I was just, just doing. I had a square job doing square shit. I was a square at that time, right? I didn't know nothing about the streets, nothing about any of that. So I was a square. I had no game. So when I walked into the streets, when I evolved into the streets now, I had to become a devil to survive, right? Now again, like sleeping on a train, sleeping outside, you don't know where your next meal is coming from, yada yada yada, right? All that good stuff. Again, this is all before YouTube. So the longer I was in the streets, I became harder and harder and harder and harder, right? Because the only other people that was living in the streets like that were, you can say, homeless people, right? But they be too caught up in their own vices, so you really can't fuck with them either, right? I mean, motherfuckers is on drugs. They they're going through their own mentalism, so you can't really do nothing with them either. So I use this time to travel, right? So when I was in these streets, so I didn't just stay in one location, right? So because I didn't want people to become familiar with my face. Because I'm like, I'm in a dangerous ass situation here, right? I can get robbed, I can get harmed, anything can happen, right? Excuse me. So I didn't want people to get familiar with me. So I use this time to travel. I'm taking a red line, I'm taking the blue line, I'm taking the gold line at the time, right? I'm all over the train, I'm on all these buses. I got me a little bus pass, train pass. I'm all over the place, right? So I would sleep in between the trips, right? So I may be going from downtown to North Hollywood, whatever it may be, right? So I will only sleep in transition, right? But again, it wasn't like a full sleep. You still had to sleep with one eye open because all it takes is somebody to go in your pocket, right? Some people are just cool and in need of medication. Well, we already know that, right? So you got to just leave those people alone. These are people you can't help. So that's what I was saying earlier. Is just people are too caught up in their own vices that you really can't help them, right? You may be able to give them something, like they would ask me for money or they would ask me for cigarettes, right? I think I told this story before, right? Because that's what I realized. I'm like, motherfuckers is always asking me for either money or cigarettes. So what I began to do is I will buy a pack of cigarettes and I will make sure I would take like $20 out and make sure I get it in ones. Cause I'm like, somebody's gonna ask me, because I'm in the streets all fucking day, all fucking night at this point, right? So I'm like, some people's gonna ask me. Somebody's gonna ask me for a cigarette. Somebody's gonna ask me for $1. I'm gonna have it for them, right? but I'm going to get information out of them in return. So that's what I started to do. I started to collect intel, right? I started to collect intel. Okay, well, where is this at? Where can I get that? Where can I get that? I would ask questions when people would ask me, "Oh, you got a dollar? You got this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got this. Hey, where?" You know, they would be more open to reveal information to me after you give them something, after they can satisfy their vice, right? Versus me just going up to people asking questions. They're like, "Who the fuck is you?" Right? But once you give them something, you at least, you know, you got a couple seconds to get some intel, right? So I began to collect intel so I can have a true understanding of what's really going on here and how I can properly navigate, right? You said it way back when it was like feeding the spirit. Exactly. I understood. I'm like, oh, this is how the spirit really works. And this is what I mean. I had to go into the streets to even understand how the spirit worked. I didn't understand that when I would just going to work, you know, and stand in the house. I didn't know what was going on in the city at 3 a.m. I'm in the house. I didn't know what was going on in the city at 9 a.m. I'm at work. But when you in the streets 9 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 p.m., 8 a.m., you begin to develop a street sense, right? Shit that I was not familiar with. My family tried to keep me away from this shit, but it was inevitable because of this. This is just my destiny, right? I had to go through it. So I began to develop a street sense. I began to become a lot more darker. Then I started to slowly realize that people didn't look at me as prey. That energy changed because I was no longer the same person. I had changed at that point. I'm living in the streets with everybody else, right? So now I'm not even looking at homeless people as homeless people because I'm like, I'm the fucking same, right? See, it's one thing you can look down at people, right? I couldn't look down at nobody. I'm like, I don't have a fucking place to sleep either. So who am I to look down at anybody at this point? So I had to be humbled. Not that I was just on a high horse, but I had to go into the dirt. I had to go into the earth and become familiar with the earth element. So that's what I mean by I became darker and darker because I began to integrate more with the earth element. Because I'm naturally a water sign, and opposite of water is earth. So the earth began to complete me, right? So I did exactly what I needed to do. Not that I knew this at the time, but this is just what I had to go through. So as I became darker and darker, I began to realize that people are interacting with me differently. Now, when I interact with gang members, I interact with them as if I am them. What do I mean by that? I remember running into Bloods, right? And then it's like motherfuckers just offer me like, hey, you want to hit this weed? Or like, oh, you know, let's get at these girls. It's that they talking to me like I'm a part of the set. All right. They're like, oh shit, like motherfucker offer me, hey, you need something? I'm like, what? Motherfuckers breaking bread with me. I'm like, motherfuckers wasn't doing this shit before because I wasn't one of them. I was a square. They couldn't. How the fuck could they relate to me when I first touched down? But now that I'm fully in the streets the same way they're in the streets, from sun up to sundown, now my energy matches them. Like we're in the same streets. We have the same life. I'm not saying that without all the extra shit, right? Without all the game banking and territorial shit, right? It got to a point where I guess I really began to look like a gang member to the point where now I have to deal with real shit. Meaning now I have to use intimidation tactics. Now I have to learn war tactics. What do I mean? I remember it would be days where I'm just sitting waiting for the train. I'm sitting on steps waiting on the train. Motherfuckers just throwing water bottles at me and shit, right? With the top open. So I remember just sitting wait for the train. Motherfuckers just throw a fucking water bottle over the shit. And that motherfucker's open. I look up, nobody's there. I'm like, no, it's like somebody really just threw this water bottle down here. because they saw me right here. I'm the only one around this bitch. But then they hid somewhere. What they thought was going to happen is I was just going to run to the train and escape, right? Because they clearly was letting the message be known, you're not welcome around here, right? That's basically the message that they were trying to push. You're not welcome around here. But what did I do? Because now I'm devil now. I'm no longer that angel. I'm no longer right the angel in heaven. Now I'm Lucifer ruling in hell, right? Now I'm hellish. So what do I do in this state of mind? I go up the damn stairs. I put my hand in my pants like I had a weapon, and now I'm looking around. I'm like, whoever I see is gonna really feel this. And I'm like, intimidation though. I don't have a weapon, but they don't know that. They gonna look like, oh, I'm about to kill something. This is my mentality. I'm like, yo, you're not about to. Now my pride is inflated. I'm like, you're not getting away with that. See, I'm in the streets now. My mind is different. I'm thinking differently. I'm not like, maybe I should second thinking like, nope. Whoever did that is about to pay. So I found like a group of dudes like on the corner somewhere. I had my hand like a wall. They refused to look at me. Like yo, they didn't want they refused to even look in my direction. I'm like, oh, I see who it was. I'm like, I see what's going on. And I saw how much fear was in them because they refused even. I'm like, yo, I know you did it. Y'all the only ones around here. But because you think I'm about to blow your fucking head off, you refuse to even look at my like, oh, you didn't real. Oh, I'm one of them. So you didn't realize like, oh, we thought he was gonna run off. He didn't like, oh shit, he's really the he like, oh shit, he's really trying to. I let him live because I saw all I needed to see. I'm like, oh, okay, they're not prepared for war here. They're just trying to do intimidation tactics. They're not realizing that like, oh, I'm actually more street than you now. Because at this point, you can say I am the most street because I'm in the streets. I literally am living in the streets. So you are not more street than me at this point. That's why I'm saying my mind is just this is what the streets do to you, right? That's why I'm giving you the example. This is what the streets do to you. I'm like I'm no longer afraid of any of this stuff, right? You are not tougher than me. You don't have to live under the same circumstances as me. We are completely different at this point. You're on demon time. I'm on devil time. See, it's a whole like yo. I'm really at the lowest depths of hell. I'm beyond treacherous, right? So meaning every time somebody did it, so this happened a couple times. Motherfuckers throwing some liquids, throwing some water, or throwing some juice. I come up with the hand, and I'm like, yo, I'm killing anybody. I'm killing, but I never run into nobody. Meaning every time I had in my mind I'm going to kill, I never run into the person. Like nobody wants to fight. Everybody knows what was going on because like I'm walking past the same people and like they don't want to even look me in my eye. I'm like basically like imagine walking down the street, everybody sees you coming. Everybody saw this person throw some water on you. Everybody saw you go up these stairs and you got your hand like, oh, you about to do something. And you're looking around for them, and nobody has shit to say. Motherfuckers looking around like they don't know what's going on. So I'm like, damn, I am more street at this point, huh? Like I'm supposed to be the one. They're trying to intimidate me, but when I come to confront them, nobody wants to confront me. Why? I'm like, isn't everybody street here? Isn't everybody killers? Like, what the fuck is going on? Why do when I put it in my mind to kill something, nobody wants to die? I'm like, oh, because they're not. These are demons. These are just troublemakers. They ain't really about that. Because if they was really on that time, they really wouldn't even have fuck with you, right? A killer respects another killer, right? They wouldn't even have even tried you if they was really about that because they already know where you're coming from. So the fact that they're trying you, they're just just being little kids doing what kids do. So then I once I came to that realization after every time somebody tried something but they didn't want to take it all the way, and I'm like, yo, I have nothing to lose. Like, what do I have to lose at this point? They clearly had something to lose. That's why they got the fuck out of my sight. They had something to lose. They had something to live for. I didn't. I'm like, everything that I love, is no longer exist. Again, I got thrown out of my home. Nothing, everything I love, everything that I was attached to, friends, family, none of that shit mattered anymore. I'm waking up and going to sleep in the streets now, right? The streets take you away from your family, right? This is just what happens. So once I begin to realize this, I'm like, damn, am I really that damn hard? I'm like, damn, I really have changed at this point. Now, even when I interact with the police now when I'm interacting with the police, now they're giving me the utmost respect and shit. Whereas before, like, I may be riding my bike down the street or something at that time. They pull me off the bike. They're searching my book bag. They just treat me disrespectfully. But when I became the devil, when I became street orientated, now all of a sudden they would not dare do that. They wouldn't dare treat me that way. So I'm noticing this because I'm conscious, right? So even though I'm in the streets, I'm conscious. Meaning I got 120 lessons. I have the knowledge of self, so I'm not dumb, right? So I already was enlightened. I just wasn't able to cultivate the light because I was moving in the streets, right? So I was enlightened. So I'm like, all right, I already know what's going on. I already know how to size up things and navigate. That's how I was able to survive because I was enlightened. So I didn't come out with no knowledge. So now I'm just learning. I'm like, damn, this is what the fuck I had to go through just to get respect. Clearly so. I'm like, damn, I had to become a full blown devil. I had to be willing to throw it all away, just blow a motherfucker's head off. I had to beat somebody to death with my bare hands. I had to be willing to do all this savagery, right? But nobody wanted to smoke. Nobody. I'm like I thought this is the place where the smoke is popping at all times, right? But again, I'm like, oh, even gangsters have somewhere to go at the end of the day, right? Even they're trying to go home. They got wives to go to. They got girlfriends to go to. They got kids to go to. So they still are. They're still strategic. They don't have no. They still don't want to throw it all away over no bullshit, right? So they utilize their logic, especially when they meet me and utilize like it's going to be a fucking problem, right? So what happens is, and this is before I was doing any type of magic, right? So I wasn't even doing any type of magic at this time, right? I didn't know nothing about that. Remember, I was just introduced to the tarot, but I didn't necessarily. But this is how I knew the tarot was for me in the streets, right? This is how I knew the tarot was for me. Meaning, I would always have my tarot deck on me, and because I would always have my tarot deck on me, people would continuously ask me for readings when I'm in the streets. Like, oh shit, that's a tarot deck. Give me a reading. That's a tarot deck. And like people just kept asking me for readings. I'm like, I didn't know y'all gave a fuck this much. I just got kicked out over this shit. But when I go into the streets, now people was asking me for my insight. Like, yo, give me a reading, give me a reading. Clearly they thought this motherfucker knows what he's doing. And I really didn't know at that time. I'm just discovering it, right? So I didn't know. But this is how I knew. I'm like, oh, okay. This is something that actually, this is deeper than what I even realized. Because had I stayed my ass at the house, had I stayed my ass at the job, I would have never had the opportunity to give people those readings and to develop my skills. So I developed my skills in the streets because people were asking for the readings over and over again. So I'm like, I may be on to something because people keep asking me for these readings. Total strangers, not people that know me, total strangers. So I'm like, damn, maybe this deck is really the devil. See, before I was thinking, I'm like, damn, like maybe they went too far, like keep kicking my ass out. They like, oh, I'm like, oh, I'm not a devil worshiper, but I'm like, damn, maybe I am. I began to reevaluate. I'm like, damn, maybe they was right. Maybe they were. I'm like, damn, because before, This just was not the case. It wasn't until I became full-fledged devil that people even gave a fuck to ask me any goddamn thing. Now I got random people coming up to me asking me for my advice. I'm like, I don't know these people. Now people are coming up to me asking me for advice as if they know me. I'm like, why are people asking me for advice like they know me? Like I'm some fucking sage or something. This is what I mean. This is what the street showed me. I'm like, oh, this is how I began to learn who I was because people was asking me for services, and I'm looking like, since when did I become a sage? I'm so caught up in devil shit. Since when did I become a sage? Was that the Thoth deck? No, that was my first tail deck was the Crows deck. My first tail deck was the Crows deck. So yeah, this is before. So we're talking about again 2009. I didn't get introduced to the Thoth deck till I came here to Las Vegas. So I didn't know nothing about Alistair Crowley. I didn't know nothing about the Lima until I came here to Las Vegas, which makes sense. But when I was in Los Angeles, I didn't know any of that stuff, right? Again, I didn't know about Devil's Gate. I didn't know about all this until I became associated with 93. So I didn't know any of that. So I just this is what made me want to perfect my tarot. This is essentially what led me to the Thoth deck because I wasn't even taking the tarot that seriously until I hit the streets. And then I just kept getting asked. So it was the people that made me want to take the tarot seriously because I was just playing with it. After when I bought that tarot deck, I didn't buy that tarot deck thinking that I'm going to become a tarot reader and I'm going to be helping people, giving people advice. I didn't buy it for that reason. I just thought the shit was cool. I'm just trying to connect with the animals. That's why it was a crows deck. I'm like, I'm just trying to connect with the animals. I'm not thinking that, okay, this is going to be something useful, excuse me. The streets had to show me, like, oh, the people need this. I'm like, damn, I actually serve a purpose in these streets. I'm like, this shit is mind boggling. So this is how I was led to the Thoth deck because I had to master the Crows deck in the streets of Los Angeles because people were requesting the services. Again, whether I'm giving people cigarettes, whether I'm giving people money, whether I'm giving people readings, I'm like, for whatever reason, motherfuckers just come up to me asking me for things, and I had to make sure that I had those things. So even if all I had was $20, again, I'm giving people dollars every day. I'm giving out cigarettes. I'm giving out dollars. I'm getting intel, right? And again, getting into stupid ass shit as well, right? But I was just skillful enough to avoid detection. What I mean by that is, eventually when I started driving, like I was never legit. I mean, I didn't have a license. I didn't have insurance, but I'm fucking driving. Again, devil time. I didn't get pulled over though. Why do you think that was? Meaning, so I'm driving around, no license, no insurance. It got to the point I had a very close encounter with police, and they just let me go. What happened? I'm just sitting at the light, right? I'm sitting at the light. It's a red light. Police pull up right next to me. It was a man and a woman. I think I even had my shades on, right? I'm just think I'm the coolest motherfucker in the world at this point, right? I got my shades on and shit, like I'm legit, like I'm legal, like I'm driving like I'm supposed to be on the road. I'm not even supposed to be on these goddamn roads. I'm just doing it because I'm again, can't nobody tell me nothing at this point, right? So I put on, so I'm just driving like this, like like I'm. I'm just thinking of when I think back at all this shit. I'm like, it kind of it just it kind of seemed crazy, right? So police pull up on the side of me. They're like, yo, your headlight or your tail light, not the headlight. They're like, yo, your tail light is out. So they was like, okay. They're like, yo, your tail light is out. I'm like, oh, it is? I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna take care of that. They're like, all right, cool. And then I just pulled the fuck off. They literally could have pulled me over for that because they were well within their right. They could have pulled me over and they could have took it off. Like, then you ain't got no license, no insurance. Say, give me that shit. But they didn't. They had every right because they already like, oh, your tail light is out. They didn't have to tell me that shit. Why? Because I've been pulled over here in Vegas for the same reason. Oh, your tail light is out. I give them my ID. This is not a driver's license. Yeah, it ain't a driver's license. They're like, you know what? They gave it back. They're like, all right, don't worry about it. This is when I begin to realize, I'm like, oh, the cops, they really ain't trying to lock me up, huh? They be having every opportunity to get me, but they like, leave him alone. Something is telling them to let this motherfucker be because they was well within their rights. Again, there's been several times been pulled over. They could have took my ass to jail, but for whatever reason here, you're good to go. I'm like, I'm good to go. You're supposed to be legal on the road. You're supposed to have a driver's license. You're supposed to have insurance. Why are you letting me go? I am completely illegal right now. Why am I being let go? I got this black skin. Why am I being let go? I'm like, I guess I really am a devil at this point, right? Because this shit, again, if you go back to the beginning of the video, I was saying how the police was just pulling me over. I'm riding bikes. They taking me off the bike, searching my shit, right? They wasn't doing none of that. Now, it's like they think before they even approach me at this point, right? So again, I'm just studying these things. I'm like, they had an opportunity to take me, but they didn't. Is it because I'm just that dude? No. Is it the energy that you carry? Yeah. This is what I mean. Like I had to come into the realization of this manually. Again, that's why this was not because of no books. This is like I had to come into this understanding manually, just through experience, right? So I'm like, okay, so not only do the gangsters give me respect at this point, now the cops don't even want to fuck with me, even if I'm in the wrong. They still just letting me go. Don't worry about it. So I'm like this is the power that I don't want to abuse, right? Like I don't want to abuse this, right? So I began to be very strategic. So right, I didn't abuse it. So I'm like, all right, let me be cool about it. Let me move like Pluto. Let me move like Pluto. Let me stay below the radar. I was about to say above the radar. Let me stay below the radar. I gotta move like I'm Pluto, cause I'm not gonna abuse my power. I'm like, I started to notice. I'm like, this ain't just happening because I just got lucky because the cops just so happen to be in a good mood. Nah, this was energy. This is aura, right? This is total energy. Because again, I'm darker. I'm the darkest I ever been at this point, right? Now, I'm not promoting anybody do this stuff, right? I'm just telling my story, not promoting it, right? I don't recommend anybody repeat these things, right? You don't have to go through this to realize your own power, right? This is my whole point of telling you. I had to take the hard way. Again, I had to get kicked out, homeless, do all type of street activity, be ready to kill some shit, get bloody, to realize that damn, they really are not going this hard. I'm like, damn, I'm really going harder than them. But I'm like, damn, man, I'm still doing this shit now, though, right? Like, I still, like, again, like, even with the spiritual stuff, it's like I still be going harder than most people. But it's not because I'm trying to necessarily. I'm like, I'm just trying to outdo anybody. I'm like, I just realized that my manual mode is just extreme. I guess that's just being a Scorpio, right? That's just Scorpio shit. We take everything to the fucking extreme. I guess that's just the energy, right? But the Scorpio had to be manifested. I was hiding it at first. I had to bring it out. It had to be brought out of me, rather, right? I had to go through real dark activity, right? So eventually I discovered Devil's Gate in Los Angeles, right? I eventually discovered Devil's Gate. This is when I began to do rituals. My first rituals were done at Devil's Gate in Los Angeles, right? which is one of the seven portals to hell, according to Aleister Crowley. This is what made me get deeper into Aleister Crowley, because he pointed out that one of the seven portals of hell was at Devil's Gate in Pasadena, which is just a city over from Los Angeles, right? So I'm like, okay, I want to go there and see what the fuck he's talking about. Is this just some bullshit? Is this a myth? Or is this reality? So I go to Devil's Gate. I do a ritual. I go into the tunnels. I go 50 feet into the earth. I'm feeling the energy. I'm like, oh shit, no, this is some real shit. I've never felt energy like that nowhere. I've been all around the country. I'm like, I've never felt no energy like I felt that Devil's Gate. I'm like, yo, that place is fucking haunted. That shit had me looking around and shit. I'm like, I kept feeling like somebody was watching me and ain't nobody around. I'm like, yeah, these is some dark ass spirits around here. Then eventually I did acid. I'm like, let me take it to another level. Now I'm adding in psychedelics into my rituals. Now I'm going to Devil's Gate with psychedelics. Now I'm on acid. Now I'm doing mushrooms. Now I'm telling you again, I'm not telling nobody to do this shit. I'm not telling you to do it. Because when that shit starts talking to you, what's up, Cam 93? When them devils start talking to you, you better be ready to listen. Because I wasn't thinking that it was gonna happen that way. So I'm looking at the devil's head. You know, when devils and at Devil's Gate, you got this devil head, right? It looks like a Ford. Let's see if I can pull this shit up. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, who think this is a fucking game, let me pull this shit up. Hold on. Let me see if I can get a picture of this. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see if I can. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me see. What's up, Matthew? Peace. 93. So, Charles, I wasn't even planning on doing this. I wasn't even planning on doing this. Hold on. There we go. Let me see. I should have a video of it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find a video. Oh, let me see. Let me see. No, that's not it. Let me pull it. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google search it. I'm gonna Google search it so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Before I continue the story, for those who've never seen this, so I'm gonna type in Devil's Gate down. That's what I'm saying. Like like again, why I was even interested in this stuff is beyond me. Devil's Gate. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can pull up this face so y'all can see this. Let me see. Here it is. Let me see. Where's the face at? Here it is, right here. Okay, so you can see it here. Let me see if I can click. Sorry about that. Okay, let me see if y'all can see that. I'm from Pasadena. I've been in Devil's Gate, as you fucking should. As you fucking should. So you see that? That's the devil's face right there. And you see that gate. So you can go into that tunnel. They got it locked up now. So don't try to do it now. They got that shit locked up and sealed. So it's like I did the shit when they had that shit open. I tried to go into that shit recently this year. They had that shit locked the fuck up. I couldn't even get in there. So I'm like, when I was doing this, you can just go right in that bitch. They shut that shit down. I guess people was dying or something. It was too much going on. They shut that shit down. But anyway, as you see, they say that's a devil's. It's a natural rock formation of a devil. You see the horn and you see the devil's face. All right. Okay. So they got that shit on lock now. You can't even go down the letter or nothing. I'm like, damn, they really locked this shit up. I'm glad I had the experiences I had, because I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to ever go in there again. Right? They got that shit locked down, big ass locks and shit. I mean, you can still get in there, but you gotta get some ninja tactics. They put a whole nother gate. Remember that gate was open, meaning even if the gate was locked, you could like climb over the gate, and like somebody bent the gate. So it's like they got that shit locked down now, right? So even if they had it locked before, somebody like bent the gate, so you would have to climb up the gate and navigate through that shit. So you still had to utilize some ninja tactics, but you could still get in there. Now they make that shit. You got to put your life on the line. If you want to get down there now, you got to hop over some shit and hopefully you don't fall. Like you gotta really risk your life for this shit, which I don't recommend anybody doing. So let me get back. So like again, now I'm doing psychedelics. Now I'm doing acid. Now I'm doing mushrooms. Right. So I'm looking at this devil's face. Right. And I'm tripping off acid. Is it places like that in Death Valley? Well, it's not just a. It's so let me make this clear. There's a lot of haunted places in America. There's haunted places here in Vegas. Like for example, the Circus Hotel on the Las Vegas Strip is haunted, right? I know this to be true because they said a certain room was haunted, and when I walked past that room, my motherfucking solar plexus got cold, which had never happened to me before. I'm like, oh shit, every time I walk past this shit, like, oh, this fucking, my whole solar plexus goes cold. I'm like, oh yeah, that's so there's a lot of places that's haunted, but it's only 7 portals to hell. So Devil's Gate is a particular portal to hell. So even if places are haunted, they're not portals to hell. It's only 7 of those, right? Room 13, I think it was room 123. I believe it was room 123. Because it's like I think it's like 4 towers, right? It's like room 123. But you can do your research. Like it's online. It's online. Right? It's the Circus Hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. All you gotta do go to Google, type in Circus Hotel haunted, and it's gonna tell you the room. I think somebody was killed. What? So this is what happened. Somebody was killed, right, in one of those rooms. So they don't allow nobody to check the room out because when I walked past the room, they had a sign on there, right? A do not disturb sign. So I'm like, they don't even rent out this room anymore. Like nobody was in there, but I'm like, they don't even, excuse me, they don't allow nobody to go into that room. But when I walked past that room, my solar plexus got cold. I'm like, damn, what the fuck? I'm like, that feels strange. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I did it again just to verify it. I'm like, maybe I'm tripping. Let me do it again. And it happened again. I'm like, okay, so that's not a coincidence. Like, oh shit, that's some crazy shit. Nonetheless, so there's plenty of places that's haunted, but it's only 7 portals to hell, right? And again, this is coming directly from Aleister Crowley, right? That's the only reason I even gave a fuck about it. Meaning, I didn't know Devil's Gate has such a vast history in the occult. Meaning, you got to study Aleister Crowley, you got to study Jack Parkinson's, you got to even study L. Ron Hubbard, which Scientology, which is really big in Los Angeles, right? Scientology, like all these histories interconnect with each other. Even like that's why Devil's Gate is right by JPL, which is Jack Parkinson's laboratories. So they named the laboratories after him, and there's also a moon crater named after Jack Parkinson's, meaning he was the one that advanced rocket science. He was a rocket scientist. Jack Parkinson's was a rocket scientist, meaning there would be no Elon Musk without Jack Parkinson's. That's why he has a moon crater named after him. So again, I didn't know any of this. I'm learning all of this over time as I begin to. I'm like, oh shit, this is real. But now, so Jack Parkinson's grew up in Pasadena. So he was born in Pasadena and he would always go into what he called the devil caves. So he was a little kid going into the devil caves. So he grew up on Devil Time, Jack Parkinson, and he eventually became the head of the OCO in Los Angeles. And he eventually did the Babylonian working. And you can do your research of the Babylonian working if you so choose, right? With the Scarlet Woman, yada yada yada. Again, this is the real history of LA. And the only reason I know this is because I actually, again, I had to subject myself to this. This ain't, again, they're not going to teach you that in school. You're not going to hear people talking about it. People don't even want to talk about this shit. Why? Because like a lot of kids have came up missing around this area. A lot of kids just came up missing. So it's a lot of dark history that people are not going to ever talk about. You got to figure it out on your own. So this is just me figuring out on my own. So I'm like, I need to talk directly to spirit. I can't talk to no human beings. So I need to get this acid in my system. I need to get these shrooms in my system. I need to talk to the fucking devil directly. I'm like, okay, if I want to talk to the devil, I need to go to where the devil is. I need to go to one of these 7 portals of hell, and I need to talk to the devil. Let me see what the fuck he got to say or she got to say. What the fuck, what they got to say, right? They locked that work up somewhere. I heard it made people who read it insane. I understand. Because if you're not prepared for this energy, it will drive you insane. The only reason it didn't drive me insane is because I was already on devil time. That's the only reason I was even able to handle this shit. Yeah, I would have went insane too if I was a regular person stumbling into this shit. Yeah, I would have went insane too. But because I was so entrenched in darkness at that point, it didn't. I'm like, oh, I was looking for it. I was craving it. I wanted more. I just wanted to be in hell. Because I was convinced I'm Lucifer. I'm like, I need to, okay, well, I need to be in Hades. Oh, that's a portal to hell? I'm going. The average person ain't even thinking like that, right? Meaning they ain't ready for that. They ain't ready to go up those hills. And you like I'm seeing Bible verses all over these hills. Imagine walking up these hills, walking up the Devil's Gate, and on your journey, you're seeing like somebody tore out pages from the Bible. Like a motherfucker went insane and start tearing out his Bible verses and pages. All I'm like, okay, somebody was not having a good time here. Somebody was not having a good time. I'm like, who the fuck is just ripping out pages of the Bible and just scattering this shit everywhere? So somebody was going through some shit. But that's neither here nor there. That's just the type of energy you should expect in these type of areas. If it's a portal to hell, that's what you should expect. So going back to the story, I'm like, I need to talk to the devil. I need to talk to Satan, Lucifer. And in this case, they came to me as Ishu, right? So I'm talking to the head. So I'm like, who was the fucking devil? This is what I asked. I'm like, who was the devil? Because it was introduced to me as Ishu, right? So it didn't say Lucifer, it didn't say Satan, it didn't say devil, it said Ishu. I'm like, okay, Ishu. For those who are not familiar with Ishu, let me show you. So that was a thing. I'm like, okay, oh, so okay, this is Ishu. So let me type this in. Let me show you an image of Ishu, which is this. This is Ishu. As you see, black man holding a fucking pitchfork, right? So I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like, that man introduced itself to me as Ishu, as a black god. Just making it clear, like, no, do not get this shit twisted. This is exactly who I am. Don't get this shit twisted. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, this is so. Let me take my time with this. The natives who originally occupied that land that we call Devil's Gate Dam, the natives that occupied that land were told to stay away from that particular place because it was, as we say, bad juju, right? So even the natives were told to stay away because it's bad luck. So the natives didn't even want to go around that area. So that made me realize, I'm like, oh, so it had to be a older group of people that did this. Because if the natives said that this area was bad luck, who caused this bad luck? Who cast this black magic? It had to come from a older set of people. They were older than the natives. Because remember, the Native Americans were not the first Americans. They're actually from India. We don't have to get into that, right? That's why they're called Indians. They're actually from India. So they were not the first people. So I'm like, oh, so the first people here cast these black magic spells. Then the natives came along and realized that we need to avoid this area. because of what these first people did. So that was the first point that issue, aka the devil, made to me. Like, oh, this is coming from a older people. This is older than the natives. This is older than anybody that you read about in books. So it wanted to make that point clear to me. Then it let me know that, like, if it ever was a devil, it would be you. That was the second thing it told me. Like, if there ever was a devil, if we take it out of mythology, if we take it out of those terms, it would be your ass. And I was taken aback by that. I'm like, why the fuck would it say that? But then I had to realize, well, I am at Devil's Gate by myself at 3 a.m. in the morning. I was bleeding too. I was bleeding because I had to hop a fence and I scraped my hand because I tripped over the gate and I landed on my hand. Fucking hand is bloody now. So my hand is fucked up. So I'm not even. I'm like, God damn, my hand is bloody. Hit blood all over my hand. I'm like, God damn. But I knew, as we know, I'm like, oh yeah, I had to open up. I had to open up the blood, right? I'm looking at I see the little cat right there. Soon as I start talking crazy like that, the cat always wants to pop out and shit. Anyway, so my hand is bleeding. I'm bloody. So it said, if it ever was a devil, it would be you. I'm like, at first, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? But then I realized everything I've been telling y'all. I'm like, I am the only one here at this time on acid having I'm like, okay, so yeah, I don't see nobody else around here. So I'm like, yeah, who the fuck else would be doing this? Who would care to even want to do what I'm doing? So I understand that now. I'm like, only the devil would want to even want to be doing what you're doing. You don't see nobody else around this bitch. I'm like, yeah, I don't see nobody else. Especially not at night. See, people be around there in the daytime all the time, right? People will come in the daytime, they look around. But soon as sunset, soon as that sun go down, you're not gonna find nobody. That energy is different at night. See, it's bearable in the daytime. It's bearable. So it's like, yeah, it's haunted, yeah, it's spooky, but in the daytime, it's bearable. It ain't too. But when that nightfall hit after midnight, it's like, oh no, the demons is out, right? So when it said that to me, and again, I made a video about this years ago, right? Conversations with the devil, conversations with Ishu, right? So I made a video like this the next day, so it's already on the channel. Like if you want more detail, so this is just me recalling what I remember. So that video probably has even more details. I don't remember every single thing, so I'm just giving an overall synopsis, just so people are familiar with how I got this way, and it is what it is, right? How this all came from a manual transition. None of this was automatic. Nobody was telling me to do this. Did not come from another human being. It was really only two other people that was even brave enough to even do these journeys with me, right? So shout out to Alejandro, right? It was only two other people, right? This is also where I met Lilith, right? And because I just made a video about Lilith, right? Anyway, anyway, now I'm losing my train of thought. So that was said to me, like, yeah, well, if it was a devil, it would be your ass. Cause look at the type of shit that you're doing right now. Who the fuck else is doing this? Like, who else has this amount of dedication and determination to even want to talk to me right now? You're here, and you're in an altered state of mind because you wanted to have this conversation. Who the fuck else is doing it? I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I don't see nobody else. So I get it. So then it's like I'm just absorbing this energy, and the energy just started getting darker and darker and darker and darker. It got so fucking dark that I had to leave the area. I'm shivering. I get cold, like I'm shivering. I'm like, oh my, like, I was so fucked up. I'm not gonna lie. I was so fucked up that it was hard for me to level myself out. It's hard to explain it. It's hard to explain it. I was. It's hard to like I. It's hard to explain it. It's hard to explain. Like you're overwhelmed with. I'm not even gonna try to explain it. I'm not gonna try to explain it. No need to even explain that shit anyway. The point that I'm making is the darker and darker I began to do shit like this, right? I became obsessed with doing things like this. And I see how this began to change the way people interact with me. This is what I mean. I began to see I'm seeing it in real time. I'm like, the darker and deeper I go into these mysteries, people treat me completely differently now, right? Because they can feel it in my aura. I mean, it's not my words, because I'm not talking to nobody about this. It's not my words. It's my aura that's changing. My aura is completely different because I'm doing devil magic now, right? I'm doing everything that everybody else is afraid to do, right? I'm developing a personal relationship with the devil because I'm literally at the portal. I'm like, if you're gonna do it, this will be the place you. Where else would you do it? I still go back. Remember, I just went to Devil's Gate not too long ago, a couple months ago. I just went there a couple months ago. So it's like I ain't never stopped going. I ain't never stopped going. I still go back because I'm like I still like whenever I need to re up my energy, I take my ass to Devil's Gate because that's like my home now, right? I need to see that energy. I need to remind myself how real this is, and that's where I go to remind myself of the reality, right? Because this is the path that I chose, right? Hence, this is now what leads me to Las Vegas. Let me let this cat out. Give me a second. Let me let the cat out. Give me 1 second here. Hold on. All right. All right. As y'all see, every time I make a video, I'll be making the cat uncomfortable. That's what it is. The cat don't be making no noise, be minding its own business. As soon as I get on this YouTube talking this devil nonsense, the cat like, oh fuck, I need to get up out of here. That's all it is. It be getting the energy be getting tense. Apparently, it be getting tense. It is what it is, right? No, Again, I'm just giving y'all some history, right? My energy began to change, my aura began to change, and now it reflects to the point where now it's like I'm so comfortable in LA, and this is arguably one of the most dangerous places to be in America, right? But I'm so comfortable there, like it's like it is me, right? But at this point, I'm West Coast. I'm not gonna lie. At this point, I'm West Coast. I'm from the East, but at this point, I'm West Coast. So whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's Las Vegas, my energy is just straight West Coast at this point, right? This I'm just straight demon time, straight devil time, right? And then the reason why I say devil time, because people just use demon time, but you know, if anything, it's Gen time, right? If we want to be accurate, it's Gen time. But that's neither here nor there. Just giving y'all a little history and how this energy then bleeds into all areas of life. And how, yes, the average person would not be able to handle the energy because they're not mentally prepared for it. That's all. I was just mentally prepared for it because I was already in the streets. I was already as hard as I can possibly be. Again, so without that prior training, because again, when I was living in the house, just doing a 9 to 5, being a big ass square, didn't care about it, right? Can you explain double time? Sure. When I say double time, that means you are an avatar of the devil. See, when people say demon time, there are many demons, right? So that's not really specific. Oh, I'm on demon time. Well, it's hundreds, maybe thousands of demons. But it's only one Lucifer, right? It's only one devil. It's only one Satan. It's only one Shaitan. It's only one Iblis. It's only one Ishu, right? So when I say devil time, that means you are an avatar of the devil's spirit, right? I embody the spirit of the devil. The devil's spirit is within me, right? Because I came up amongst the gods, right? I came up amongst the gods, right? So before I was calling myself devil, I was calling myself God, right? Peace, God, right? It's doing all that. But then reality hit. That's all it was. That's all it was. Reality hit. Meaning I was doing all that when I was a square. So when I was a square, I would go to work, then go amongst the gods, learn my lessons, learn how to be civilized, learn how to polish up and refine my culture, right? Which is what prepared me to deal with the devil because I was polished, right? Meaning I already had the knowledge. I wasn't doing anything haphazard, right? I already had a level of self-awareness and self-control. Because again, I already was looking at myself as the God. But then I realized we are devil too. We're not just God, we're devil. And it's easy again for people to pray to God, to people to feel one with God, 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 God. I just got tired of that energy. That energy upsets me now. Because I'm like, so many people use God's name in vain with their absolute ridiculousness. Like, I didn't even want to be associated with that energy no more. I'm like, everybody and their mama believe in God. So fucking what? It's like, it don't mean shit to me no more. Like, everybody, who the fuck don't believe in God? Other than the atheists, right? But the atheists don't believe in any damn thing. But I'm like, I don't know anybody who fucking worship the devil, right? Worship the devil, believe in the devil, embody the devil, the spirit of the devil, whatever you want to call it. These type of people, I'm like, oh yeah, you probably ain't never gonna run into these type of people. How I know? Because people like me, you're probably not gonna run into people like me. It's like I only show up for certain reasons. That's how I be. Like I said, you see, I'm not in everybody's face. Like you're really not gonna see me unless there's a reason for you to see me. Otherwise, I just, I'm incognito, right? This is how I'm incognito, right? I shield my aura, I shield my energy, because I ain't trying to be talked to, I ain't trying to get into nobody's energy. I ain't just running my mouth for no reason, right? I'm playing chess, right? I'm playing chess, but on the chessboard of life, right? What do I mean by that? Meaning I remember myself as a pawn, as I was explaining earlier. I was prey. I started off as a pawn, and I had to make my way across the board. And when it comes to each piece, the king, the queen, the knight, the bishop, the rook, all these are different positions to play on the chessboard, right? So I had to learn each position. I'm like, okay, so I'm not just a pawn, because when the pawn makes it across the board, you can evolve into any one of these pieces other than you can evolve to any one of these pieces except the king. It's only one king on each side of the board, right? So the pawn that makes it across can evolve to whatever position that they choose. So if the pawn wants to be a knight, it can be a knight. If the pawn wants to be a bishop, it can be a bishop. If it wants to be a rook, it can be a rook. If it wants to be a queen, it can be a queen. So what I've learned is I had to make it across the board several times and learn how each position is played. And this is what I mean by, for example, let me make that more clear, because that may be a little bit too metaphorical. Meaning, we know the bishops are the magicians, right? So I had to master magic. That was just me embodying the energy of the bishop. I had to become a magician. I became a magician when I moved to Las Vegas. I was not a magician in Los Angeles. I was not a practitioner of magic. I didn't become a practitioner of magic until I moved here, where I am currently. LA made me a knight. Those were the degrees of the knight. The knight is just, the one who has courage, the one who's willing to play with steel, to play with, the streets, right? You got to be able to navigate. I learned how to navigate in that L shape. That's what I mean by I knew how to avoid certain things. I had to navigate in that L shape. So I learned that how to move like a serpent. So that knighthood was my evolution to darkness, right? The bishop energy was my introduction into magic. Now the rook, which can, move all the way across the board, right? The rook is like the castle or the tower, right? Which is more about defense. Because, you can, when you're playing chess, you can switch the king with the rook, right? To better position the king. For those who understand chess, you can switch the rook with the chess, right? I believe they call it castling or something like that. Now, so the rook teaches you, okay, so the rook can switch positions with the king, right? That's basically what I'm saying. So the rook can switch positions with the king. So the rook can take the place of the king, then the king goes into another position to better shield himself, right? So that's talking about defense. So I had to learn defense, hence what I'm talking about now. Not allowing people to look in my eyes. Not talking to people just because they want to be talked to. Not fucking with people just because they want to be fucked with. I had to learn the defense mechanisms. I had to learn how to shield my energy. So I had to learn, I understand offense by being a magician, but I had to learn about defense. I had to learn about white magic as well as dark magic, right? AKA war magic. I had to learn how to go to war magically. Just like I had to learn how to heal magically, right? I had to learn the magical arts of healing, but I had to also learn the magical arts of destruction, which then finally takes us to the queen, which is having a grand understanding of the feminine force, right? Having an understanding of how women work, right? Not just for deception or manipulation, just understanding their nature, understanding the opposite of your own nature, right? So I'm the masculine, the opposite is the feminine. So I must understand my opposite in order to be complete. And of course, the feminine is the spiritual side, right? So the masculine is more about prophecy. I had to learn the arts of prophecy through the masculine. Then I had to learn how to receive through the feminine. Give me 1 second here. Let me deal with the cat real quick. 1 second. All right. So as y'all see, every time I be going live, the cat is like, now I need to move around and all that. I'm like, whatever, right? The cat just be uncomfortable. It is what it is, right? See, this isn't the cat that we raised, right? This is a cat that motherfucker just brought in from outside type shit, right? So this is like a internal cat, right? You to have a conversation. Nah, again, this is not. It's a family cat, but this is a cat that they brought in from the outside. So this is not a cat we raised. That's why the cat is like, it's scary, right? So this is not a cat we raised. It's a cat that they brought in because the previous owners had just left the cat, right? So the women felt obligated. Let's bring them in. So that's all that is. So that's why my energy is real spooky to the cat, right? It is what it is, right? So that's why the cat, yeah, the cat is just not, it's not used. I mean, I've been around the cat for years though, right? So it ain't that the cat has been around me, but the cat again has never got used to my energy. It's like this motherfucker is a devil on earth, right? So the cat, I spooked the cat out. That's why the cat just, as you see, it just anyway. But that's normal to me, right? I'm not surprised by that. I understand who I am. I know the energy that I bring. It's not surprising, right? So that's why I'm whatever. But the cat wants to be around me at the same time. So like that's why the cat is weird. But that's again that don't have nothing to do with this. It's just the cat. The cat is just weird. So the cat is scary, but the cat clearly wants to be in here because it would other just be somewhere else, right? And the cat does not have to be in here, but the cat wants to be in here. So that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. And I just shut the door because you know what I mean. Anyway, the cat is gone. But I'm just saying, as you see, the cat be getting in his feelings when I be going live. When I'm not live, the cat doesn't bother me. So that's what I'm saying. The cat just minds its own business. As soon as I go live, now the cat wants to, it's like it wants to just be in a video. The cat just wants to be in a video. That's all it is. Cause the cat be silent. When I'm not recording, the cat is just normal doing whatever it's doing. As soon as I start running my mouth, Not a cat like wants to be in a god. It just wants to. It's just Leo shit. Leo shit. That's all it is. Just Leo shit. The cat just wants to be. Just wants your goddamn attention or energy. But again, the cat doesn't want to be touched at the same time. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So that's why the cat is the way it is. So just in case anybody's wondering why the cat is like that again, it's just the cat is just scary. But I understand. This is just a scary ass energy, right? That's neither here nor there. Now, I was talking about, the pieces, right? Understanding women, right? Understanding the opposite. Understanding who and what you are. Understanding the queen piece on the chessboard, which is the most powerful piece. The most powerful piece is the queen, meaning that's the final level. So once you master the knight, once you master the bishop, once you master the rook, now you must master the movements of the queen, which can move like a rook, but it can also move like a bishop because it can move from diagonally, and it can also move horizontally and vertically, right? The queen has the freedom to move anywhere on the board, right? So how does that apply, outside of the actual woman, right? Because the queen goes beyond the actual woman, right? It's talking about a certain type of energy. Because the king and the queen are right next to each other, unless you castle with the rook. So before the king castles with the rook, the king and the queen are right next to each other. So the only one that the king truly trusts is the queen, because the queen is right next to the queen. So the most powerful piece is protecting the king, while the other pieces are going to war. So essentially, the queen doesn't really come out until later on in the game, right? People don't just start battling with queens in the beginning of the game. The queen comes out towards, the middle or the end of a game. So that's later on down the line. And that's what I mean by it takes time to understand the feminine energy, especially the dark feminine energy, like Kali, like La Santissima Morte, right? That's the dark feminine, right? Because that takes you to the death courts. It is the dark feminine that rules over the death courts, right? Energy like the cartels, right? The dark cults. That's all the dark feminine energy. That's why that's the final level, right? So while the world fears that energy, that's actually a degree, right? That's a level to be mastered. Meaning, because I did the video about La Septicima Morte, so I did the video. If you want more information on that, I already did the video. And in that video, we learned about the reason why people go towards her energy, the energy of Kali or La Septicima Morte. The reason why people embrace that energy because it's anti-establishment, it's anti-government, meaning this is the energy of the streets, right? This is the energy of the streets, the darker streets, not necessarily just the streets. This is the darker streets, meaning when you're dealing with the energies like the cartel, right? These are not just street-orientated people, right? This is a step beyond, meaning these people are connected spiritually to spirits, meaning they are connected to the actual essence itself of the goddess that we call the goddess. But again, the goddess is not this magical fairy tale energy that we have been introduced to, right? That's what I mean by the dark feminine. We are familiar with the light feminine, but we're not familiar with the dark feminine. Because again, this energy rules over death courts. Energy, again, aka gang banging, right? The gangs, the cartels, this is the energy that they fall under. Hence, When I began to ascend in rank, I began to be treated differently by those who had rank because they all fall under the energy of the dark goddess. So I'm saying that to say the reason why, because I was saying like I began to be treated differently as I began to rank up. I began to be treated differently because this, again, I became that energy. I am one with that energy now, right? Which just happens naturally when you are on the dark side, right? You will meet the dark goddess, who I met in a dream. I met the dark goddess in a dream, which I told the story before. I believe I told the story before. I'm sure I did, but it's just so many fucking videos. That's why I repeat the stories, because I'm like, it's who knows whether you even saw the video. So just in case you didn't see the video, then I'll repeat the stories. So the dark goddess came to me in a dream, right? I woke up in a dream, and I heard like a game. It was like a NBA game. So it was like I was laying on the couch, but I wasn't looking at the TV. So I'm laying on the couch, and the TV is on. A man walks in. You ready to pray? This is what he asked me. You ready to pray? Was a Muslim, because these are my origins. Islam. So he asked me, you ready to pray? And I'm like, no, I have to make a wudu, which is the water ritual. Before every Muslim prays, they must make wudu. The water ritual. Wash your face 3 times, put it in your mouth, put it in your nose, you know, put your feet. It's called a wudu. So I'm like, okay, I have to go make wudu. So there was a girl's bathroom and I'm saying girls, it was a ladies' restroom and a male's restroom. I guess he was in the male's restroom. So the only restroom that was open was the women's restroom. And it was women in this area. So I went out of this area with this couch and this TV, and I went into the main area, and it was like, 3 women or something. So they said, you can go ahead and use the women's restroom, because he's in the males. Go ahead and make your wudu in that restroom, no problem, right? So I go in there, I make my wudu, I come out, I sit down, and I still don't see him. I start to get uncomfortable because I'm like, because it's all these women around. In Islam, you ain't just supposed to be casually around women like that, especially if they're not, fully dressed and all that. So it's like women are casual. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be around. So I started thinking this in my mind, maybe I should go in the other room. I don't wanna make it seem like I'm just, I'm looking at the women, I'm doing anything extra, right? So when I try to get up from the seat, one of the women in there is like they sit on my fucking chest, which prevents me from getting up. So I try to get up and she fucking holds me down where her fucking body just sits on my chest. I'm like, what the fuck? Then she's like, no, go in the back room. I'm like, go in the back room. All right. I go in the back room, I open up the door, and it's this figure just there. And it was the female version of Jigsaw. For those who saw the Saw movie, it was a female Jigsaw, with the white mask. And let me show you. I'll just show you for those who don't know. All right, let me type this in. Jigsaw. So yes, you see that? That's Jigsaw, right? The white mask, so is that. That's Jigsaw. But it was the feminine version of that. It was a feminine version of Jigsaw. So it's like a black cloak, and all you see is that face, right? I'm like, what the fuck? For whatever reason, I just sit on this deity's lap. I just sit on her lap. And I felt this ultimate release, this ultimate peace. Like I'm just sitting on the lap of my mother as a baby. I just immediately, all my attention immediately left my body. I'm like, oh, I'm like, this is heavenly. I'm like, damn, this is that motherly love. I'm like, oh man, it's like you just fall into the lap of your woman. Like, oh man. Then I started asking questions because I got extra comfortable, right? Then I realized I'm like, damn, I don't have long here. This is a dream, or rather a vision, an astral projection. I'm like, I don't have long. I have to make this quick. So I'm like, oh, this is a deity, right? This is the goddess. This is a dark goddess. So I'm gonna ask her because I want my I'm not gonna waste this opportunity to have a conversation with a deity that's right there, that's embracing me like this. So at the time I asked the question, I'm like, why do I resonate like with this darker energy, like this sinister, pimpish type energy, right? Like, why do I resonate with this dark energy, right? AKA Ishu, right? Like, why do I resonate with this energy? Then her response or her reply to me was, "It's because you are an older soul." That was her response. It's because you're an older soul. I'm like, hmm. Then she turns around to walk away. She's about to walk away. Then I say, wait a minute. How do I know this is real? That's my second question. My second and final question. How do I know this is real? Is this just a vision? Is this just a dream? Or is this some real? That's why I asked, how do I know this is real? Fuck a dream. Fuck a vision. How do I know that this is a real experience? So what did she do to prove it? She didn't say anything. She just turned back around and she put her mouth on my index finger. So just a tip, just that little 1 inch. She just put her mouth on the tip of my index finger. Had a full body orgasm. Full body orgasm. That's all she did. Put her mouth on my index finger. Just fucking explode. Whole body exploded. Just complete bliss. And so I had to gather myself at that point. I'm like, once I gather myself, I'm like, oh my God, that shit was real. I'm like, oh shit, that was a real deal. Like I'm going crazy now, right? I'm like, oh shit, that was real. I'm not making this shit up. I'm like, oh fuck. I go outside of the room after I gather my composure. And now I see the man now who originally asked me, do you want to pray? Now he's out the bathroom and he's arguing with the women, I guess because they're inappropriately dressed. Like that was my concern in the first place. So he comes out the bathroom. Now he's yelling at the women like, yo, what the fuck are y'all doing? They walking around and they goddamn like fucking boy shorts and little tight shirts and shit. He like, what the fuck are y'all doing? So while he's arguing with them, a woman from the outside, so a woman from outside of the house, she stands in the window. So it's a woman outside of the house looking into the window. So he doesn't see her because he's arguing with the women inside the house. They going back and forth. So like I'm looking at this woman looking into the window, and then she just flashes her fucking breast at me. I'm like, what the fuck? She just flashes her fucking breast. Again, I'm just telling. This is just what the fuck happened. I know it's crazy. This is just what happened. This is why I can remember this shit vividly, like it just happened yesterday, because I couldn't believe this shit. Just flashes. She just flashes me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This is the dark feminine showing you This is what the real deal is. You see this man, you see this religious man who's trying to stay righteous, who's trying to be civilized, he's trying to contain a dark goddess, and look, he can't do it. He cannot contain this feminine energy. The feminine energy cannot be contained. I'm like, yeah, he is having a hard time controlling these women. He's not doing a good job because they clearly are doing whatever the fuck they want and just they know how to navigate. They just running circles around this dude, right? They just running circles around this dude, right? They clearly got this shit on lock. Then I wake up. I wake up after that. I record the dream. I write it down. So that's why I can remember this so vividly. I instantly wrote it down. I had a whole dream journal, right? Had a whole dream journal, wrote it down. So that's how I remember it. So then I just had to come to the realization. I'm like, what was that really trying to show me? I'm like, it's showing you the power of the goddess. It's showing you the dark goddess. So, in her sexual liberation. And it's showing you that whenever you try to contain or control this energy, it's going to slip right through your fingers. It's not an energy. Because again, as men, we be trying to control the women and all that. Do what I say. I'm the man of the house. All that shit. No. There is no control in this energy. Now the dark feminine, not the light feminine, may submit to you like your wife, a woman that's trying to be loyal to you. Yeah, she may listen and take your bullshit out of love. But when it comes to the dark feminine, when it comes to that scarlet women, when it comes to those hoes and those prostitutes, there's no you're not controlling that. The only thing you can do is respect it. So that's how I learned to respect it because I seen it in the vision, and I'm like, this is that it's trying to convey this to me, and it's just using very extreme methods to convey this to me. The mysteries of the queen, because going back to the chessboard, what the queen is closest to the queen, but it's not the light feminine that we think, it's the dark feminine. So I'm saying that to say the goddess came to me directly and showed me. I'm like, yo, and so not only did she give me the game, oh, you are an older soul, right? 93 Kenya. So what she told me, you are an older soul. That's why you even have these thoughts. That's why you even care about this shit. That's why you're here right now. That's why this other guy, you see, he's like every other guy, right? Sorry about that. Battery's at 10%, right? So I probably should wrap this up, right? So let me get these final points out. Battery's at 10% again. I didn't even plan on doing this video, but again, I did promise y'all that I'm gonna do more content. So I just picked up the phone and do it. So this was not planned. So what I was saying, she was conveying to me the mysteries of the dark goddess, the mysteries of the dark feminine. Like if you truly want to understand this energy, this is the energy where you really have to submit to it. It's not an energy that you can control. You must submit to it. So the same way I had to sit in that goddess's lap. I had to sit in her lap. I'm like, oh, do this, do this. I couldn't. There's no. Sit in her lap. And then I felt at supreme peace. And I gathered enough courage to even ask that question and then to come back with a second question because I knew my time was limited. So it's like I already knew. I'm like, I have a limited time. This is my only chance. I need to take this chance. It's my only chance. And because I took that chance, I was able to have that experience. Which I'm like, no, this is some real shit going on here. Like this is not an illusion. This is showing me that, like, yeah, look at this guy trying to control shit, and he's doing a terrible job. And look at you submitting, and you getting everything you want, right? Like you was trying to get out, you was trying to get up out of there. Like you're trying to be a good guy, and they're like, no, you're not getting away from this. You're not like, no, you don't get to get, you don't get to go, you don't get to get away from all this sexual currency. Like, no, you don't. You're trying to be this righteous dude. You're trying to do the right thing. No, sit your ass down. Feel the ass, feel the titties like we know. This is something that you must submit to. You must understand how this works. This is not for you to point to and direct and guide. Hence, on the chessboard, it's not the king that's telling the queen how to move. the queen moves by her own accord, even though her goal ultimately is to keep the king protected, but the king is not necessarily sending out the orders. The queen is a piece in and of herself, right? So that, excuse me, that truly taught me how to appreciate the feminine. Because before that, and like I didn't have an actual experience. Yeah, I could have read a book, I could have watched somebody's video, but that's when I had the actual spiritual encounter, right? So I learned. I'm like, yeah, damn, I had to go to the goddess to answer that question, because no God would have told me that. No God would have told me that. Again, I've had other experiences, but I'm like, damn, no God would have told me that. Like, damn. So it's like I had to contemplate on that. I'm like, the fuck does that mean? So I didn't immediately know what this means. It's just me reflecting on it now. I can tell you deeper meanings, but at the time, I'm like, oh, that shit was crazy. Especially like as I told you, I'm like imagine going through that. It's like, yo, fuck, you trying to get up out the picture. Like these women is not letting you go. It's like, oh shit, like this is some inappropriate shit going on here. I feel like I was not supposed to be there, but they was trying to reinforce the message of yes, the fuck you are supposed to be here. You being uncomfortable with this energy means you have levels to go. This is not something you should ever feel uncomfortable with. The only reason you feel uncomfortable because there's still something within you that still wants to control, but you must submit. You must do it from a passive position. Meaning, when I sat on the goddess's lap, only then did she answer my questions. It wasn't okay, I walk in and I'm asking questions. No, I had to sit in her lap first. I had to submit first. I had to be passive. I had to go into a heavenly state first. Only then was I able to even ask her any goddamn thing. And that's why she showed me the respect she showed me, because I had to submit. There was no control. Like I had to release control. I'm like, oh, I had to approach it with absolute respect. Then she departed. I'm like, I don't even know where she went. But this is how deities interact with us. They interact with us through dreams. That's how they interact with us. That's how they teach us what's really going on if we decide to pay attention. So it taught me a grand lesson. I'm like, oh, I see what's going on. I'm like, yeah, I used to be that guy. Thinking that I can control some shit. But it never worked out that way, of course. But I had to learn better. I had to evolve. I had to step into the mastery of this energy, of the dark feminine. That's why I understand it now, right? That's why I said this is the darkest energy. So all the things that I said before, me going into the streets, me mastering the tarot, that was just me submitting to the dark goddess. And only then was I able to gain the respect of not only the gangs, but also the cops and also the spirits. It was only when I submitted to the streets, when I was fighting against it, oh shit, I gotta hit this 9 to 5, oh shit, I gotta get this money, I gotta get this, I gotta hustle, 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 hustle. Nah, I was the furthest away from spirituality when I was doing that. As soon as I was forced into them streets, all I had was that tarot deck. And then, that, as I was explaining earlier, it's not until people started requesting services, requesting readings, that I even saw myself doing this. I didn't think, well, I didn't care about a fucking tarot deck. It's just people kept asking, like, yo, I need that. Give me a reading. Give me a reading. I'm like, damn, clearly y'all not afraid of the devil. But I'm like, damn, so like the family I just came from thought this was devil worship. But when I hit the streets love this shit. I'm like, well, the devil does run the streets, right? The devil does run the streets. So I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, well, AKA the dark feminine runs the streets, right? I'm like, oh, well, I can't argue with that. So I had to learn these hard ass lessons. This was not an easy thing to comprehend. This was not, again, especially when these things are very foreign to you. Again, I came from the angelic realm, trying to be the most civilized, trying to be the most righteous, trying to be the most humble. But the streets, I had to completely reverse my thinking. And it wasn't until I had to reverse my thinking and reverse my whole lifestyle. Only then was the spirit able to communicate with me in a way that I was humble enough to understand. I had to, again, be passive. I had to approach it passively in dreams, in visions, in divination, aka tarot reading, because all that does is tap you into your own unconscious mind, as we should know already, right? So that's why my approach to spirituality is very passive. At this point, I don't even have to draw a tarot card no more. The tarot is within me. All I gotta do is think about a tarot card and I know which one it is. Like again, I do tarot readings every day in my Telegram channel, right? I do tarot cards every day. A lot of times I don't even pull the cards no more. I just envision the cards and the proper card stands out to me. At this point, meaning it's all mental at this point, meaning I don't even need a physical tarot deck anymore. I can conduct tarot readings without a tarot deck at this point, and I don't know of too many people that can actually do that. But again, it's not too many people who've had that experience who's willing to go through what I had to go through. So I'm not surprised by that, right? And again, I'm not recommending that anybody do any of these things. This is just my personal journey, what I had to endure in order to gain the wisdom of the dark goddess and have an appreciation for her. So that's why always honor her. I always honor the feminine, the dark goddess, again, the Kali, the La Santissima Morte, all the dark goddesses. It's because she came to me. And even more than that, that's just one experience. I have many of these experiences, right? Because again, as I became more passive, I'm like, I gotta go into the dreams, I gotta go into the astral. So that's where I'm getting the experience. I'm like, I'm not waiting for a physical, a physical energy to make sense. So all these things I comprehend is due to dreams and visions and divination. At this point, I had to be passive. I had to take a passive approach to these things. When I was taking the masculine approach, all I was getting is problems. Again, stopped by the police, harassed by gangs, yada, yada, yada. When I took the feminine approach, now all of a sudden it's just respect all over the place. Now I'm just doing shit and getting away with shit that I probably shouldn't be doing, and I'm getting away with shit I probably shouldn't be getting away with, right? Like, for example, I never been to jail. Is it because I've been an angel all my life? No, I just haven't been caught. My dirt was just done under the veil of the goddess. That's all. So I was able to, and I gave y'all the examples. I'm like, I'm driving around, no license, no insurance. Any day I could have went to jail. So Nefertiti, any day I could have went to jail. But I was under the veil and protection of the goddess. So I'm like, oh, that's what was going on. Even to this day, it's the same way now, right? So, but I had to learn the hard way. I didn't learn the easy way. I had to learn the hard way. Again, my heart had to become black. I had to become not wicked, not evil, but I had to embody the chaos, right? And bring order to the chaos. Again, which are just illusions anyway, to embrace the pure chaos. So there was no coincidence why I wanted to go to LA and all that. Because again, I'm not from LA, but I had to put it in my mind to even get there. So I know this to be true, meaning the only reason I was even able to get to LA, I wasn't born in LA, I was only able to get to LA because I had to put it in my mind and visualize and go through divination. That's the only reason I got to the West Coast in the first place. I was on the East Coast. I didn't have nowhere to get to the West Coast. The only tool I had was my mind. I didn't have no resources to get to catch no flight. I had no resources. The only resources I had was mental. So I had to, again, be passive to even get to California. And I'm thinking, about Hollywood. I'm thinking about all this stuff. I had no idea. Okay, oh, you're really going to Cali to meet the dark goddess. You're really going to Cali to embody this dark energy and to be a vessel of the devil. Because again, if I would have known that, I probably would have never went. If I knew that ahead of time, if I knew what I had to go through to get to that conclusion, probably would have never even went. Probably would have decided to be a normal person. So that's why certain things was not revealed to me until they actually were revealed to me. And that's what allowed me to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper to the lowest levels of the inferno, and then slowly make my way back up without destroying myself in the process. But you see, I'm still here, right? Still here. So we'll end it there. Like my phone is literally about to die in a couple minutes. So another unplanned video. Didn't even plan on talking about all that. But hopefully you gain something from this. And again, I post every day on Telegram. So if you're on Telegram, check out the channel, link in the description. If you're in numerology, check out the Patreon, link in the description. If you're into the astrology, check out the website. Link is in the description. All the links are in the description, right? They will always be in the description, right? So we'll see y'all very soon, you know, whether it's tomorrow or later on. I'll be back up. And again, I'm going to keep giving y'all more and more content. It's going to get more and more darker. We're really just getting started here. So with that, I bear peace, 93. Love is the law, love under